Fellas, today it's time to get out the grubby battle jackets and the cheap beer, because today we're going to be talking about fucking thrash metal. So, thrash metal. My Slayer CD fell down. I really hope that still works. So anyway, thrash metal. Bro. Can I just get started with the video already and not have everything start fucking up? So as I wipe up this beer, thrash metal. At the time, the most extreme metal subgenre, and the subgenre which would later heavily influence groove metal, death metal, black metal to some extent. It was big. It was big. Originally born in the 80s from this really obscure band that you've probably never heard of. They're called Metallica. Of course, then after that you have the big four of Slayer, Anthrax, Megadeth, and Metallica. And so today we're going to be going over the top 5 thrash albums in history. And so delving in at number 5, we have M16 by Sodom. So Sodom is my favourite German heavy metal band, and M16 nearly didn't make it onto my top 5, but it's just so damn good. It's got an amazing title track. You've got songs like I Am the War, and Genocide, and Napalm of the Morning. It's got really brutal, heavy vocals that is kind of reminiscent of some sort of later death metal albums like Obituaries, Inked in Blood, and stuff like that. I don't have loads and loads to say on this album, but it's really good. Go listen to it. So coming in at number 4, we have Time Is Up by Havok. Havoc is, in my opinion, a pretty underrated thrash band. I feel like I don't hear people talking about them quite as much as I think I should, because they've done some great stuff. And in Time Is Up in particular, you have some really, really good vocals and amazing solos. Just fantastic solos. Not quite as like some of the solos we're going to be talking about later in like Rust in Peace by Megadeth. I know I just spoiled that, but I mean, you've seen my Megadeth album ranking probably, so you know it's going to be on here. But yeah, you got amazing solos like Covering Fire, No Amnesty, and Out of My Way, which are all just some of Havoc's best songs. Weirdly enough, although I do think there's a very unique sound, I think a lot of the structures of the songs and the solos and the riffs feel kind of like if Slayer and like Municipal Waste had a baby. Particularly in the structure of the riffs and the songs, it feels very Slayer. I can't really explain it, it just does. Alright, so coming up next we have Rust in Peace. I kind of thought this might have been higher on the list when I started thinking of it, but the last two are just a little bit better. However, Rust in Peace is, I mean, it's freaking Rust in Peace. We all know it. We all love it. It's the best thing the Big Four has ever made. There are some amazing solos from Hangar 18 and Tornado of Souls. You have great songs like Five Magics, Take No Prisoners, Holy War's Punishment Due. I believe this is just in the remastered version, but My Creation, I think, is a pretty underrated song. You got Dave Mustaine doing his best vocals. I think Dave Mustaine's a great vocalist, like, in all of his work. Some people do find him a bit annoying, but, like, I don't think there's an album with Dave Mustaine doing bad vocals, in my opinion. Maybe in, like, Killing Is My Business has some, like, parts where I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But, like, overall, Dave Mustaine's an amazing vocalist. And in Rust in Peace, he's doing his best he's ever done. Alright, so now we're going to be moving on to number 2, Fabulous Disaster by Exodus. Which very nearly made it to number 1. Very nearly. Now, this might come as a surprise to some big Exodus fans, because everyone prefers Bonded by Blood. Like, pretty much everyone. However, while Bonded by Blood is really, really, really good, don't get me wrong, I think the vocal style and just some of the riffs I find a lot better in Fabulous Disaster. Honestly, there were loads of Exodus songs that could have been replaced by this. Like, Exodus is just such an amazing band. You could have had Impact is Imminent or Pleasures of the Flesh. Like, the first few Exodus albums are all just pretty perfect in my opinion. But Fabulous Disaster is my personal favourite. I love the vocal style in this album, and it's in a lot of Exodus albums to be fair, but particularly in Fabulous Disaster as well. It's just bursting with personality. This was their third album, it came out in 1989, but honestly it's aged so well that you could convince me it came out like 4 years ago. It's got some absolutely fantastic songs like Toxic Waltz, Like Father Like Son, Verbal Razors, and The Last Act of Defiance. There's also some really good covers, Low Rider by War, which is like Pretty random, but like, it's funny as hell. And also an AC/DC cover, which is pretty cool. I'm not the biggest AC/DC fan, but I can appreciate it. So before we go on to number 1, I'm going to give some honorable mentions. Metallica's And Justice for All. I'm sure we're all familiar with And Justice for All. I've talked about it once kind of on the channel. I love songs like Blackened One and The Shortest Straw. It's a good album. Pleasure to Kill by Creator. I debated putting this where Sodom was. I debated putting this one instead of M16 by Sodom, but that was just a bit better. However, Pleasure to Kill is another amazing German thrash album. We got Years of Decay by Overkill, which is kind of similar to Exodus sort of vocal and like riff style. I do think it's a really good album, but I have like a few problems with it. Like in a few songs like I Hate, there's a few corny lyrics here and there. But overall it's a good album. Bonded by Blood by Exodus, because I mean it's just so good. The title track's amazing. Strike of the Beast is amazing. I mean it was so influential as well. And our final honourable mention is Peace Sells by Megadeth. And if you want me to talk more about that, again, go over to my Megadeth album ranking where I talk about them all. I never really heard people talk about this, but whatever guitar tone they were using in Peace Sells, I really like it. Okay, so now for our number 1 spot. Slime and Punishment by Municipal Waste. This is just such a fun album. It's really, really short, and although it is cheesy at times, I don't think it's corny. There's a big difference between cheesy and corny. Every single song in this just goes hard as hell. Low Tolerance, Shred Necks, Breathe Grease, the title track, Dingy Situations, and Parole Violators. Parole Violators in particular is one of my favourite songs ever. Tony Forrester, the vocalist of Municipal Waste, is one of my favourite vocalists ever. I hope I pronounced his name right, by the way. And I think Slime and Punishment, along with Fatal Feast, are some of his best work he's ever done in any album. I think if I could change something, I wouldn't make the songs themselves longer. For example, Breathe Grease is only like a minute 13 seconds, maybe? Something like that. But the structure of the songs themselves is also really, really good. I love in Municipal Waste songs when they'll have like a bit of like a voiceover part, for example, in Beer Pressure from The Art of Partying. And in Parole Violators, in this album, you've got this like really funny little bit of this guy being arrested, and like it's just fun. What can I say? Freeze you, rap bastard! I didn't do nothing, man. Yeah, that's what they all say. Now get on the ground. And so that is it for the top 5 thrash albums of all time. Now I would quite like to do a top 5 black metal albums of all time, since like I love black metal. So let me know if you would watch that. And with that, goodbye.